Hello.
Hey,
It's Friday morning and it's biweekly. Well, it's not necessarily Friday morning for the listeners, right?
it's Friday morning for us, and I'm fine
It's
with that.
Friday morning but for both for us and our listeners, it's Biweeklycast number 44. We are recording it on Friday, and the host is still here. I'm Dima Malenko.
I'm Slava. Today we are going to talk about having fun, but before, there is no follow-up, so we will jump into the theme corner, whatever that means.
Right, yeah, let's try to do. I was trying to think about a little bit of a follow-up, but I think it would be topical for the primary topic anyway. So to be honest, I'm a little bit surprised. I don't want to be ashamed about it, but I'm a little bit surprised. But I don't have too much updates on the theme, other than I found it useful to have those monthly things. My plan was to have July as a month of kind of clean slate, kind of starting anew, because like the previous thing finished work wise, and as you remember, at least part of the theme is related to me starting new thing at work. So I thought, all right, so I finished the previous stuff. I'll start with a clean slate and kind of clean up everything, minimize the distractions, and kind of choose just a few things to focus on. And surprisingly, despite my best intentions, I'm not sure if I put the best actions towards it. Not much really changed, because there were some kind of unexpected circumstances with kind of people moving to different teams and so on and so forth, where I had to pick up things that I did not plan to do. And it was not much of a clean slate start, but having this monthly kind of theme and monthly thing to think about was really helpful to catch that. And I also realized that, geez, it's already middle of August and the time flies so fast. So I'm trying now to refocus a little bit and kind of find a way to be even more aggressive with cutting down the stuff that I should not care about, stuff that I maybe care about in principle or in the big scheme of things, but I should not care about it practically, as if I would not take steps to fix stuff, to understand stuff, and just let the stuff kind of go and focus on those next things, some of which I'm still yet to identify. Not sure if this makes much sense to you or the listeners, but this is what I've got.
As long as it makes sense to you, that's fine. And what's your next monthly thing?
My next monthly, like for August, the thing was starting. I think like I've been thinking, all right, what could be those like next things and figuring them out. I think I figured them out, and I need to like clean slate would have helped with starting, but after that the next step is actually start doing this. So I have two and a half things I planned, or kind of directions that I have in my head, one related to photography, one related to work, and half related to some other non-work related activities. And I just want by the end of this month to take at least some meaningful and somewhat visible steps towards each of those things.
And currently you do a year and then a month. You don't do seasons.
Yes. I tried in the beginning of the year, but then somehow it just didn't stick.
Well, that's not necessarily at all, so as long as it works. And what about the macro feeling about the year of next? Like, do you feel that there is any progress towards the final outcome?
I think I'm a little bit, to answer this question, probably there would be two dimensions. There is, if I were to answer this directly, is there a progress? I would say yes, technically there is. Am I happy with the amount of that progress? I'd probably say not really.
I think that your level of content or happiness is irrelevant in this regard, because if you wanted to be happy, you should have made the year of happiness, not the year of next.
Well, that's true, and I think that would be very, very related to the topic for today's discussion. That's fair. One thing I realized, especially in last couple of months, was that I feel that it is for me that time just flies by, and one of the things that contributed to that was that I had a whole bunch of very busy weekends in a row where we went to this competition, to that competition, then there was something else, then we went to vacation. So it was like almost a non-stop sequence of events combined with some other kind of somewhat unfortunate structures of my work day, where I feel like I wake up, like I walk the dog, I do go to work, I get back, I walk the dog, I maybe go for a run, and then boom, that's 11 p.m. What? How did this happen? And I do have this feeling of time just flying by me, and I attribute this to just very concentrated sequence of kind of events or emotions or sensations that happen around me, and I want to get this a little bit under control, and I'm thinking of be doing a little bit of time tracking, and I wonder if you did any of that recently, and what are your thoughts on that?
The only thing I track is my screen time on my phone, because that's probably the only factor that I would like to manage. The rest seems fine. Plus, my calendar is quite illustrative. If I would like to retrospectively look where I was spending time, I can see all my tasks in the task list, and the calendar, they just match, and I have the full picture.
I'm only thinking about this. I have not started the actual time tracking. I'll see. I'm not sure, because with things like dog walking and going for runs and the commute, it requires kind of different level of technology, I guess, sophistication of something to track that accurately for the tracking data to be meaningful. And I'm not sure if I'm ready to commit to to this level of burden.
With all this sub tracking, the question is how often and how you're going to check the results of these stats, because you can spend lots of time setting it up and then signing something in and putting in these data points all the time. And then if you don't really check it, or you check it once in 3 months, and then you don't do anything about the results.
Right. My thinking was along the lines of, all right, take maybe a week and track it from start to finish, and then look at the data and see if I get any meaningful insight, or if I can confirm with the data some internal feelings that I have about how my days go, and maybe take action on that.
My overall attitude here is that if I can automate it, let it be. For instance, I mostly use the same bank card, and all my financial operations that are cashless, or they are in the same account, and I can see most of the transactions in one interface. I don't have many cash operations anyway. And the same about screen time and the rescue time. Like, they just do work without me interfering and starting some timers or tracking something, because another, like, I will definitely be frustrated if I miss something, and I quite often do, because I can get distracted or something happens. Like, we are recording a podcast, and then I have this incoming call, and like, I actually have to go and manually add it in there, and this is so frustrating. So everything that can get done by technology is fine. Anything I have to do myself probably is not worth the effort at this stage.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I often I'm the same thing. Like, if I would want to put effort into something that I would consider kind of important or core activity that I'm doing, but something that's extra or add-on or nice to have, I'm very reluctant about investing too much time. I may be enthusiastic in the beginning, but then it quickly wears off, and it's just, if it's not automated, it just stops happening. Cool. So that was the theme corner, and it might be thematic or topical to switch to the actual topic. And we typically start with kind of justification, not justification. Justification has a little bit of a negative connotation to it, but rationale for why this is sort of important and maybe interesting is, I already alluded partially to it. I went on vacation last week, and vacation in general, I think this is a common wisdom that vacations are meant to have fun, right? That's one thing. And as I said, I realized that several months before now, were quite intense for me, both kind of at work and kind of overall, with events happening and me doing a whole bunch of different things where I felt like, I literally have no time to have fun. And I started thinking about this, because before the vacation I was a little bit worried that I knew that usually it takes me a while to switch off from the work mode to kind of start being able to disconnect and have fun. And luckily this time around it happened very, very quickly. Even though we went for just one week, I felt I disconnected almost instantaneously. I'm not sure if it was helped by very kind of intense period of us traveling to our destination, where we need to wake up, like come from the work on Friday and 2 a.m. on Saturday. We are kind of to travel to fly out, but it worked surprisingly well this time around. I did not expect this to go this well, but that got me thinking about this topic of fun, and I was thinking about this in two directions, or two avenues for this thing. One is something along the lines of, you remember that there is a quote when someone said that find something that you love to do and you will not have to work a day in your life, or something along those lines, kind of implying that if you have fun at work or fun doing what you do, that's great. You feel great, it's fun, and you get great results because you love this thing. How important is that? How important is to, when you're doing something, have fun in the process of it? And another side of the coin would be like, if for whatever reason you're not necessarily having fun doing your primary activities, how do you create space to have fun, and how important is it to have fun? Or maybe you can be just like a robot and kind of do stuff and do stuff better each time you get more experience doing that. So that's my general thinking about the theme and how I came to this topic and what I was exploring kind of with it.
Mm-hmm. If I may, our next section is normally definitions. I would ask you whether you distinguish rest and leisure as two types of free time or time out of work.
That is a great question. I think, to answer directly, do I distinguish? I would probably say yes, but I would also say that that distinction would come at least secondarily in the hierarchy of classification of time. Like first I would, I guess, differentiate between kind of working productive activity and unproductive activities, and then within unproductive activities, that those could be just rest, recuperation, and then leisure, where you kind of actively or intentionally doing something to have fun or something along those lines.
That's where we kind of disagree, because I think that they are both productive, and I would probably suggest renaming it into working time and time off, and time off is split into rest and leisure. I think they're both productive because they produce different sort of things. And work produces some kind of value for you, for business, for the world. Rest produces energy and gives you time to reflect. And leisure produces new emotions and experiences and things that are not necessarily related to your professional activity, but fill you up with some vibes that keep you humane, not just an effective machine, but a person. And they are all contributing into you feeling good, I think. Like if you create the value, if you recover, get your energy back, and reflect on what's happening. And if you get some new interesting experiences in your life, these three things kind of all feel productive to me. They're just productive in a different way.
Because like I agree with you, and I think, and I also think that this is part of the inefficiency, if I may use this word, of my thinking and kind of attitudes towards this thing. I do agree that it's not productive to have this productive unproductive distinction, because I often catch myself when in the time, let's say, supposed or have an opportunity to have leisurely activity, I would start thinking, like, what's the point? Like, what would be the point of just lying down on a blanket in a park where I could go and do XYZ in the same time, which would also be non-working activity. Maybe like, I don't know, like go take more pictures to get more pictures to get processed later and create more work for myself downstream. But there is this kind of nagging question in the back of my head that would be, could you be spending this time better when I'm about or actually engage in leisurely activity? And I agree that your distinction is more healthy, I guess, sort of.
I wouldn't say healthy, it's just different. That's something that works for me because I think fun could be part of all three activities, but it's not necessary. Like you could have each of these three not to be fun and still get the results, and just the outcomes are different. You could be working on something challenging and be content with the results, but the process could be not fun, or the vice versa. You could be really content with the process, but the results could be not really satisfying. And that's also totally fine. Like the fun element is very changeable in these scenarios. When I look at my work routines, like not everything I do is fun. Things that are fun don't always bring some long-term satisfaction. And things that bring the most fun are usually unpredictable, and they just happen.
It's interesting. I think I feel a little bit the same way, but I think it might be interesting to try to double click into that, what the results and the process and fun of both of those things. So when you are looking to do something great, quote unquote great, whatever it means in a given, so that great in a sense that you would feel fun of having sort of achieved that, of having done that, having accomplished that, that kind of thing. Would you also be looking to have fun in the process of doing that, or would it be more like, all right, this is the goal, let's find the way to achieve that goal in the best possible way, not necessarily in a fun way at all, and it's not necessary or desirable or advisable to have fun in the process?
This topic is a bit controversial because I think that fun is generally overglorified, and I would say it goes along with happiness. Like many people, they really want to feel happiness more often. And in my opinion, that's overrated because it's just part of the emotions that we normally feel. And if you look at the list of all things that you experience, like boredom, anger, annoyance, calm, and all the other states, there is not so much percentage that is left. Like if you split it and one emotion is very dominant, that seems unhealthy to me because you probably should feel the entire spectrum of the emotions. There definitely should be fun in your life, because if you don't feel any fun, that's a sign of kind of depressive state, or something that I would go and talk to a therapist or somebody who is licensed to check your mental state. I'm not definitely ready to discuss what's the issue here, but I think that the amount of fun that people are looking for is definitely exaggerated. Like we want a lot of things to be fun, interesting, and really we want to feel happiness and fun pretty much about every other thing we do. And I find it unrealistic. Like I don't know many people who do that. And I think that's an effect that we get from social media and all these trendy networks. Like fun and happiness seem to be a brand that got really trendy and popular, and people are looking for it and searching for it, and then they're getting less fun and happiness in their lives because they don't get enough fun, and the amount of fun they get is not the amount of fun they want to get. So that kind of even diminishes the effects of fun activities that they actually have in their lives.
Yeah, that's a vicious cycle. Well, this is so interesting, what you are saying, because I have two thoughts, and let me hold on to them so that I do not forget about this. When preparing and doing a little bit of research, like albeit a little bit of a last minute research for this topic, I also had this feeling that there is some sort of an not expectations, but generally accepted crowd wisdom that you should have fun. Like if you're not having fun with what you're doing, you probably should be doing something else, because the best results come up when you have fun. And I was looking for some kind of confirmation of this being a kind of trendy or well accepted thing. I didn't find much. I didn't search too hard, and I didn't find much, but I did find one article, and I even I liked it so much so that I copied a quote from that like randomish page on the internet when I was searching like having fun or something along those lines. And the quote goes as, people see fun as trivial, unworthy, disreputable. Maybe they'll have fun someday, they tell me, but not until they made huge fortune or scientific breakthrough or achieved artistic masterpiece. What they don't realize is that people who achieve such things are the ones who have fun doing them. And this is, I think, speaks to what we just discussed, that there is this expectations that great things come out of activities when you have fun. And I'm like you, I'm not necessarily convinced that that's the case. It
I know
might be
quite a few
just
people who I consider achievers. Like these people do great stuff. Like they reform countries, they build amazing products. They do not necessarily have fun. Some of them even don't really enjoy their work much. Like they do these because they have to. They do things because uh, they are supposed to. They do things just because they don't have anything else to do, or they do things because they have been doing it for quite a while and they just keep doing it by inertia, and they can come to some great things. And their emotional state is really secondary. I would say that the state of glide, which is my theme, or flow, which is more commonly named, is probably more essential here. Like you should be really focused on thing you do, and you should feel the amount of challenge that doesn't scare you, but that drives you toward what you're doing. And this is not the same as fun. Like this is the state that I see in most of these people. Like when they do something, they do this thing and they deep dive into it and they stay in this flow for significant periods of time. Do they have fun? I can name a lot of people who have fun and haven't achieved anything. Moreover, they've ruined their careers and lives. I can see people who haven't had fun, and like there's no correlation between having fun and enjoying work you do, because just our hormones are very differently wired, and some things that people name fun seem not fun for someone else. Like I could be having fun reading a philosophical book. Would I look like from side like just a guy with a boring book with very straight face? But it is fun. Like it's not that type of fun like stand-up comedy or having a loud party or I don't know shooting the balloons. Like people have different definitions here. That's why it's kind of hard to measure. The same as happiness, by the way.
interesting. And I like one observation I have about the people of, like, let's say, high achievers who do kind of meaningful things and do great stuff. I agree with you that it also to me feels that they don't necessarily have fun in process of doing that, but I think I observe a pattern that even though they may not necessarily have fun doing their particular thing, like their professional, whatever they're doing, professional activity, but they will be generally good at disconnecting and creating time to have fun in the way they're having fun. And it is, as you said, it's relative. Everyone has fun in their own way. Sometimes some people go surfing, some people go reading, some people go hiking, and some people just do something do something else. But let's hold this thought for a moment and get back to my second point that I wanted to make, where you said that the fun is overrated and something like that. It's just a funny. It's not a scientific or any point at all. It's just a funny coincidence that I was, like, again, doing the research, and I think this time specifically I was searching for having fun, like looking for definition and maybe sort of an interesting materials for that. And the first page of Google search results, it was the articles were going like, have how to have fun, 19 ways to enjoy yourself and do something, like, and another thing like how having fun is important, here's why you should have a habit of having more fun. And I scroll down, like all of the positive articles, and then the last one is that having fun won't make you happy. I'm like, all right, yeah, that's vindicated. So funny, similar to what you were saying. Yeah, the having fun is generally good, but that's not all and all be all kind of a thing. Right. Circling back to those people who high achievers and still find ways to have fun. One of the articles I was looking at had a list of advice, and you can imagine the advice is, in some articles the advice was so funny, like laugh more often. Like, what does it mean? Should I put a kind of a alarm on my Apple Watch or something when I should laugh, and the alarm goes on while I'm on the tube, and I start hysterically laughing? And what was that? But some other advice was somewhat different, and there was one thing in particular that said, put fun on the calendar. Do you think it is at all possible to do that?
Why not? Like, I definitely can't have a longer bike trip if I don't schedule it. Like, it will never happen unless I plan for a longer trip. I probably can't have regular massage sessions or something to rest if it's not on the calendar, because I will schedule something else or I will have a meeting with someone at this time. But when it's on the calendar, it will definitely happen. So it doesn't mean that I have to do that, but most of the things in my life go to a calendar. I will probably still have fun even without it. I will just have more anxiety about forgetting and remembering a lot of stuff. So it's not that the calendar makes it happen. It's just the way I organize everything in my life, including boring things and fun things at the same time. So it's just a place. And I think it's more for people who struggle with priorities and planning. And they definitely have to see, like, when is your next vacation happening, or when are you going to take this extra day off after working extra hours this weekend. Like, if you have worked hard, you probably should schedule some rest or leisure.
That's a good point. I think I struggled with this kind of proposition of putting fun on the calendar from the point of view that in general I kind of struggle when I put something generic on my calendar, like do something like that to kind of catch up on kind of communication or something like that. When before that,
I don't think you have to put these things on the calendar. But like in my case, I have an Aspen seminar coming in November. That's going to be a lot of fun, and it's on the calendar. It's not that like laugh or like thank someone for doing something. Like, these sort of things definitely shouldn't be there. If you need a reminder, think about something else. Like, don't overload your calendar with this sort of information.
Okay, so I guess you are suggesting that we read this advice, not literally put fun on the calendar, like create an event called fun or have fun on the calendar, but plan for things and activities and whatever it is, then that give you fun, and plan that ahead of time. Don't not like be intentional, and don't wait for them to happen to you, because they won't.
Yeah, let's say you enjoy poker and your friends have 2 weeks planning time to get together, and you probably have to plan it in advance. So you would have to think when most people will have free time, schedule it, invite everyone, and then they come and you have fun. Like, it might be impossible for someone's lifestyle to just have it instantaneously at the moment you'd like to do it. And you have to prepare, plan, buy something, go somewhere, maybe far away to do that. And why not? You can actually have a year of fun. Like, you can schedule a sabbatical or something along those lines. Like, in 2030, I will take a year off.
2030 sounds like a long way.
Go for 2026 if you'd like.
And I think that's in general kind of on the meta level, that's very good advice and observation that you're giving all of us, is that don't take advice, especially on random stuff on the internet, literally, but rather think what it means. Even that I mocked that laugh more often kind of thing, but then if we look at the meta level, like I think that's scientific fact, right? That laughing or being in a state where you would genuinely laugh is a good thing, like from hormonal point of view, kind of it's good physiological state. But instead of just sitting there in an empty room and laughing on beep, you want to put yourself in a situation where would put you will get smile on your face, and those situations might be very different for different people. But once again, you need to be, I guess, intentional about putting yourself into those situations.
Yeah, like, let's say you probably laugh more often in a group of friends that does something. Like, our Aspen alumni was the place where my cheeks would hurt after our meetings because we would laugh so much about pretty much everything, and I would have sore muscles on my face after these meetings. And they don't happen just because they don't happen. Like, you have to put some effort to put them together and invite people and think of a format and the place, and people do come and it is fun and you laugh a lot, but there is some work to do before, and sometimes they have to be there in the calendar or in the task list or somewhere else.
Yep, that's fair. Calendars are helpful. Calendar is your friend. All right, so to switch gears a little bit, and remember, like, there were two avenues that I announced for the topic, and we sort of explored the second one, how to create space to have fun and why it is important. And I think we agreed that this is important, create space for fun and so on and so forth. But then we touched a little bit upon the idea of having fun while doing something, and we said that that's not necessarily the need to get to do great things. You do not necessarily have to have fun in the process of them. But I wanted to get your thoughts on the idea that sometimes, at least for some activities, it is said that, hey, you can achieve arguably better results if you can put yourself in a state of flow or in a state of having fun while you are doing something. Like, if you are more relaxed about the thing that you are doing rather than focusing on scoring that high achievement, be it in sports or maybe in creative endeavors like art or performing art. If you let go of that focus on the result and just enjoy the process, oftentimes you will get the result that's better than you would get otherwise. Would you agree, disagree? What are your thoughts on this?
Let's create a scale here, because
Yeah,
I think that you mentioned quite a number of words, and for me, being relaxed is on a scale with being tense, like you're stressed or you're relaxed. Having fun is on the scale with being bored, like bored and fun, and then calm somewhere in between. And I don't necessarily think that having fun is the optimal place for performance. I think calm is the optimal place. You don't have to be bored. You don't have to be overexcited. You have to be woke up enough to do what you choose to do. And then you do great. Like, this is the state of flow for me. the state of flow is not equal to state of fun. When I'm having fun, I'm not necessarily in the state of flow because I quite often don't fully reflect on what's happening, and it can just like a party, like it's just happening. The time flies, a lot of things happening. It's fun, I laugh, and then like 3 hours are over. But I don't really produce anything in this during this fun party. Like a motorcycle trip, like it's a lot of fun for me. I'm not laughing all the time, but still, like I'm getting a lot of positive vibe from a trip, and it could go from calm to excited at different levels depending on what's happening there. They're all quite productive, but like there's no overachievement here or something like super highly productive in this process. The same as this relaxed state and tense state or stressed thing. I think that on both of these scales, you probably have to be somewhere centered to achieve something meaningful. I can think about a professional example about a strategic session. If I'm too relaxed or too stressed, if I'm getting too much fun or I'm too bored, it probably is an indicator that something is going wrong. Like I should be somewhere centered to get the optimal result.
This is interesting. I think my initial thoughts on that were, and I do appreciate your introduction of like separate kind of scales or axes or dimensions that we're looking at between kind of tension and relaxed. I think initially my thoughts were if being in a high tension state kind of precludes you from being able to have fun, because in order to have fun or to feel a little bit of fun, you need to have a little bit of a mental or otherwise capacity to actually kind of feel that fun. And if you
but
are
at the same time, people go to the movies, like the horror movies, they feel extremely tense in the process, and this is the process of having fun for them. Some people who call themselves stress managers, like they create stressful situations where they get to the adrenaline rush and they have to overcome all the obstacles, and this is what they call fun.
That's, I think this would be an example of why we always say, or you maybe even more than I say, that definitions are important. And here we had like the tension. When you said the tension, as in going into the horror movie, that was not the flavor of tension I had in my like tension as being kind of worried about the end result, where you're focused on the thing that you are trying to produce, and you intentionally or unintentionally do not allow any other things to come into your mind, and you kind of hold your attention on something, which to me is different than the tension when you go into watching a horror movie, because there you just passenger, you just, oh, like I'm scared, I'm agitated, or like I'm tense. But this is a different kind of tense than when you are trying to submit the work that you need to submit, and there are only 30 minutes until the final deadline to do so.
Let me suggest the third scale, or X, because the one that I named as tense and relaxed, it was the level of stress, like how much stressed you are. Like I'm not stressed at all versus I'm very stressed in the process. And we could also add here a scale of concentration, where like I'm hyper focused or I'm distracted, like totally distracted, and things are not happening. And on this scale, once again, you have to be somewhere centered to get into the state of flow, in my humble opinion.
No, I think this makes so much sense, and I do I really enjoy the sensations that go through my brain as we discuss this. So great, because like indeed, like we seem to have dug a little bit deeper into the situation, and we already uncovered that there are several dimensions of things that influence what's going on, like as you said, like stressed versus relaxed, concentrated versus unconcentrated, distracted, and then kind of having fun versus getting bored. And I think we might say that arguably, or not so arguably, or just illusory, the best outcomes would be expected where you're roughly in the middle on each of those scales. But when you are not too over concentrated to miss things and be inflexible, but you also are not distracted so that nothing happens. You somewhere in between. You allow yourself a little bit of room to kind of move here and there and notice additional things, but you're still firmly holding to where you are going. And then you are not too stressed, because stressed can bring you to unproductive state, and you're not too relaxed, because when you're relaxed, you are kind of slow, you're not producing much. And at the same time, if you are too bored, it's also not great. And if you're just having fun and you're super agitated in the moment, you must lose track of the bigger goal. You want to be sort of in the middle of those things. And like what gives me additional joy is that kind of all those connections to complexity theories and stuff, where for given situation, the interaction between multiple different factors can bring about very different outcomes.
And there are different things you have to care about, because at certain moments you'll get tired and you'll probably be losing your focus level or concentration level. At certain moments you will be getting bored and you will need to remember why you're doing this thing. At some other moments you'll be too excited about something and you have to chill a bit and keep working after a few breathing activities to get back to the actual thing you're doing, not to get this overexcitement in the process. And when you have just one optimal state and multiple things influencing, like you're too tired, too bored, and too something, it's really hard to get yourself into this state, because you probably can't get there straight away. Like you can jump into this thing like, all right, I'm opening my laptop and like, here we go. I'm in the optimal balanced way. This thing is a complicated system which gets influenced by a number of factors. And if you recognize them, like I'm getting too distracted, well, let me close the messengers and the apps that distract me here. Or like, let me switch to the focus mode to get myself less distracted. I'm hyper focused. Let me zoom out and see the bigger picture, maybe talk to someone who could help me do that, to not to get like deep diving into the details and forgetting why I'm doing this thing at the first place. When you see the issue, it's kind of easier to handle, because you see that this issue is on this scale and this issue is on the other scale. And this is the issue of motivation, excitement, concentration, knowledge and awareness of what you're doing, etc. And it never stays balanced for a long time. Like there is always something that will get it out of the system. And then it's up to you if you would like to do something about that or just let it go.
Yep, that's a great thing. And I think if we were, or if I were a little bit more entrepreneurial, like right there, we could apply to form a venture that would call something along the lines of golden triangle consultancy, where we would say that, hey, there are three angles of kind of things like stressed, relaxed, and stuff like that. You want to be in the middle, and between those two angles, there is a golden triangle of fun, productivity, and high achievement, and like worship the wisdom of the golden triangle and stuff like that. We can do that. We could have fun.
You watch too many TV series.
No. That would be a sidetrack. But I literally watch almost no TV, no series, and that gets me embarrassed in lunch conversations with my coworkers. They was like, "Have you watched such and such?" No, I haven't heard of it. Have you seen this such and such series? Like, are you watching the latest? No. And then no, I wanted to say then everyone proceeds to make fun of me, but no one does that.
That's ecological.
Right. Well, I think the discovery of golden triangle here is very interesting, and as I said, I think it shows how important it is to get to the specifics of stuff and the details, right? And when you said tension and I said tension, we meant different things initially, and then later on, like, we discovered that there's more than two things. It's not like your tension and my tension. There is stress, there is concentration, there is something else, which is very instructive and helpful in the long run. So one more thing that I had on my list of things to discuss was this, well, I now realize that it's a little bit jumping back when between having fun while doing something and then creating space for having fun. So circling back to creating space for having fun, I also find that for me, having fun is, no pun intended, connected to the idea of disconnecting. I find it hard to have fun doing something when I cannot disconnect or do not manage to disconnect from other things. And like I described my vacation, I was worried a bit that given it's relatively short, I would not be able to disconnect quickly enough to fully enjoy this whole thing. Luckily I was able to, or whatever happened allowed me to do that. But do you find this a kind of a challenge for yourself, and like in general, what you think about this disconnecting from the previous activity when you go into kind of having fun mode that we put on the calendar?
For me, disconnecting is on the scale of focus more. Like when you are focused enough, not hyper-focused on something or distracted by some thoughts. While having fun is on the excitement scale. So they don't really meet. One activity, like you could be having fun while being over-focused or distracted, and it still could be fun. Like you could be, actually procrastination is a lot of fun in many cases while it's not productive. And it's a total disconnection from what thing that you're supposed to, you were choosing to do. But in the long run, it's not really helpful. Like it brings a lot of shame to your life and then discontent with your overall goals and performance. So I wouldn't say that this short-term fun in this case, it's a guilty pleasure basically. And it could be happening while you're disconnected from the thing you meant to do. And you're doing something you didn't mean to do, and you're having fun, and then you feel ashamed for having this fun. So for me, they are on different scales. That's why it's kind of hard to say. I would say that disconnecting in the example you mentioned is definitely needed when I would like to get me to the relaxed state. Like if I would like to get less stress and more relaxed, this is the moment where I definitely have to work on disconnecting and minimizing interaction with screens or any sort of notifications, etc. But there's no fun on this.
This is interesting. And while you were speaking, I then realized that it's interesting and useful where you say that having fun you put on the same scale as being excited, which is not necessarily how I at least initially approached this. Is what having fun was this general feeling of kind of enjoying doing something, which might not necessarily include being excited about those things, but separating the two, I think, is very, very useful was approach. And I think we discussed this in one of the previous episodes that I love going for runs and I think I have fun when I'm doing that. But as you were speaking, I was trying to understand and answer the question for myself. Is it, do I have fun because of the running itself, or because running forces me to disconnect from everything else? I cannot check the phone. Maybe I will listen to audiobook or to podcasts or something else, but I will not be checking notifications. I don't know, like thinking about the work related stuff, even though I like some of the stuff I hear on the podcast might prompt me to think about work related stuff. But I would consider this like, yes, I'm having fun. I enjoy doing that, but then I'm now second guessing, am I enjoying this because of just the running, the activity itself, or because of the circumstances it creates where I disconnect from the rest of the stuff and I enjoy being disconnected and kind of being alone with myself?
Well, and here comes the fifth scale, the scale of pleasure, because I think that when something is pleasant and attractive versus not very pleasant or totally unpleasant and something I don't want to do at all, something I dislike a lot, that's just another type of thing. Because what you mentioned in the example of jogging or running is that probably one of the elements you enjoy there is related to disconnecting. In my case, it's both a bike trip where I'm excited, it's a lot of pleasure, and I feel focused on the thing I'm doing, but not distracted by anything else. It's the massage session where I'm totally relaxed, like I'm not stressed or concentrating on anything, but I'm totally disconnected because like there is just a floor, or like I don't really have an opportunity to get really distracted because there is nothing happening. And it's like both of them are pleasant, but in very different ways. And having this universal word for fun is kind of hard for me because they are different type of fun. But I could say that like, all right, this is like more relaxing, more pleasant, less distracting, and something else.
That's great. Like you now introduced the fifth scale, and I think that once again goes to say that hey, with every single situation, with every single event, there are so many factors that can play a role. It's not necessarily that all of them play a role in every possible situation, but some factors may play a bigger role in any given situation. And also like getting to the details matters, right? To understand like what we mean, like having fun. Is it being excited? What about the pleasure side of thing? Is having fun is the same thing as feeling pleasure, right? Because you can be in fully relaxed state, not really excited, and it will be pleasurable state. Are you having fun at that moment? Who knows? You need to think and define. Cool. I think that about exhausts the list of questions or things I wanted to bring up for this topic, and I think I found this a very useful and insightful discussion. I've got a lot
Was
of
it
food
fun?
for thought. Well, it was fun. It was fun. We uncovered the golden triangle of whatever.
After the fifth scale, it's not a triangle anymore. It's
well, it's like it's even better, right? We can draw this. We can scale this to 5 scales, so there will be pentagon in the middle, so we can call it the golden pentagon of what is it, productivity or fun or something. It gets better as we talk about this. It's more, it gives complexity and signals to people that no, it's not a triangle. It's not 3 things you can probably understand, 5 you probably can't. So you need a consultancy, like subscribe to our mailing list, sign up for the next session, and so on and so forth.
Should we then rebrand our have good weeks into have fun weeks?
Yeah, it could be. It could be have fun weeks. Well, and then we get into terminological discussion of like, is good the same as fun? Does good imply fun? Does fun imply good?
That would be another episode.
That would be another episode. Right, any last minute words of wisdom?
No, like all the wisdom is out, so we have what we have.
Right, so then have fun and good weeks.
Good week.